First things first, Period Films would like me to release this statement. Do not try to make love to your Zanpakuto. This week's episode titled Don't Chase a Shadow mainly focuses on the battle between Shunsui and Lee Jae-baro. Right off the bat, my score 5 out of 5. This episode was another awesome episode. You can't say enough about what Studio Period and Period Films is doing on this core. Music was good, animation was top tier. Everything about this episode was awesome. But before we dive into that proper fight, we saw a tease of what's going to be the continuation of Captain Kurotsuchi and Pernaida's fight. We see the Bankai that ate Pernaida. It's chilling there. All of a sudden, it starts to bubble up, and we hear what sounds like an explosion. Probably Pernaida causing something to happen with Captain Kurotsuchi's Bankai. After the Pernaida moment, we jump back to Lee Jae-baro. We see him scoping out the remaining lieutenants and captains, waiting for someone to make a mistake, and Captain Shunsui turns around to face him and then immediately gets shot in the chest. Lo and behold, that is all a part of Shunsui's Shikai's ability to make children's games into a reality. He shows up right behind Lee Jae-baro, attacks, misses, and that is when their fight properly begins. Now has made it to where Shunsui is, and Shunsui tells Nanao to go back to the captains and tell them to keep pushing forward. He proceeded to state how she's becoming more like Lisa. That just shows how Shunsui likes to keep a certain type of woman around him at all times, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, she goes to the captains and the lieutenants, tells them to keep pushing forward. Shinji immediately says okay and starts going. Momo protests, wants to go back and help Captain Shunsui, in which Shinji says, hey, what would Ukitake say if he was standing here today? Or what would Omanyama say? And that just shows how Shinji has been one of the captains that has been around for a long time. He knows how those two captains would operate. I think he's probably in the group that is right behind Ukitake and Shunsui in terms of, and Onahana in terms of length as a captain. They seem to have this respect for him. You know, he was even there before Aizen, as we saw, and the turn back the pendulum mark. So he keeps pushing forward. He gets everyone else to keep moving forward, and then now goes back towards Shunsui because she does not want to leave her captain by himself. While this is all happening, Shunsui is fighting Lee Jae-baro. The whole children's game aspect of it all leads to a nice back and forth between the two of them. We see him jumping in and out of shadows with a pretty awesome effect of it being all black and he's outlined in yellow. He's landing these counterattacks, attacking this Lee Jae-baro's gun. He keeps on destroying it, and Lee Jae-baro is able to basically repair it because he's using his own reishi to remanifest it, because it is a part of him. It's his bow, it's his powers, and he's counteracting as well. During their fight, there's this moment where the two of them are basically all shadow, with the exception of Lee Jae-baro's eye and Shunsui's smile. And I think this is a nice way of showing how deadly these two are because of, you know, their banter back and forth. Captain Shunsui may seem like the more aloof captain, but he understands when it comes down to it, when you have to die, you have to die in terms of his enemy. Lee Jae-baro is the type of the character that who doesn't lose. You can tell just by his mannerisms and how he speaks. No one seems to be a threat to him, so he's not too worried about Captain Shunsui. And Shunsui drops one of the coldest lines I've ever heard him say, and it is, "Who do you think I am?" In terms of, like, he is the head captain. He is a big dog for a reason. So their fight continues. It looks like Shunsui is landing these attacks, but we find out that when each fatal or semi-fatal attack is going to land, Lee Jae-baro opens his second eye, which is a whole aspect of his X-axis or his main Quincy power, and he is able to survive it or reverse it or negate whatever's happening to him. After the third time he opens his eye, he is able to keep it open the whole time. And when he does that, we see it glow green, and he releases his Volstandic, and he absolutely changes to this weird angelic looking creature. It's all wings, and he's like in a tube. His face is completely different, and he immediately lands 3 shots on head captain Shunsui, who at that time could not move. Thankfully, 2 of the shots are on his body, 1 is on his hat. Captain Shunsui very tactfully runs away, and he's trying to get away while being chased and shot at by Li Baro. Li Baro can teleport, as we find out. Captain Shunsui tries Keto on him to no, avail. He's getting further and further away to the point where he's like, wow, I'm back to where we first got here. But he also says this should be far enough away. And that is when he releases his Bankai. And it's something that we've been waiting for years. We finally get to see it. And it is absolutely beautiful. I am not disappointed in it one bit. When he releases his Bankai, right before that moment, we see Askin and Ichigo fighting. Askin asks Ichigo if he's had any special training while being in the Royal Palace. Ichigo is basically, what if I did? And that is because Askin's wondering why he's not getting any reishi poisoning, and he states that he's going to have to change the flavor. That is a very important key to his abilities, and we're going to find out more about it in the upcoming episodes. But at that moment, Head Captain Shunsui releases his Bankai, and everyone feels it. Ichigo, Askin, Orihime, Chad, all the captains that were with Captain Shunsui, they all feel it. Nanao feels it. And you can tell there's something going on with it because Ichigo starts to sweat, and he's like, that's Shunsui's Ryatsu. We see Orihime shaking, and we see all the other captains have a sense of unease to them. And when Li Baro finally makes it to Captain Shunsui, Shunsui asks him, do you feel despair? And this is why he's always wanted to keep people away from his Bankai, because it's not just a one-on-one type of Bankai, it affects everyone in the area. His Bankai is this whole theatric 4-act, event, and it is all done very well. The first act, Li Baro gets the same damage that Shunsui has immediately. It won't kill him, but he gets it immediately. He gets 3 holes put in him. The next one, it deals with regret and a disease. So now Li Baro has this bloody disease just come all over him. And at this point, he's gone from this just angelic this angelic pod-looking thing to this angelic quadruped creature. So he's evolving. That's a key component that we all need to remember. After Act 2, which is the whole plague thing, they go underwater, both Shunsui and Li Baro. They're falling in a lake type of deal. Li Baro's trying to swim out, and he can't. He's struggling and struggling and struggling. And that's when you start to realize, like, Shansui's Bankai is all about this negative emotion, either fear, despair. It's all tied together. From my understanding, this theatric performance usually is tied to some type of tragedy. While this is going on, we see a slight shadow figure behind Shunsui at the release of his Bankai. And during Act 3, we see that it is his Sanpakto spirit, Ohana. And during Act 4, we see he's speaking about a woman's wrath, and we see this white thread swing around Li Baro's head and proceeds to blow up or blow off his head. And the moment that happens, there's this beautiful white image, and Shunsui's standing there, and it's a very different art style, but it looked cool, it stood out, and it brought the whole 4 acts to a close. Li Baro's head explodes, he falls deeper into the lake. Captain Shunsui falls on his Zanpakuto. She tries to stab out his eye. He's dodging, like, hey, he's like, hey, I just survived, like, I only have one eye left. And she mentions how it is very funny that he is starting to resemble her in the sense of, both only having one eye. But that's where the episode ends. It was another banger. Like I said, 5 out of 5. We only have a few more episodes left, and next week's episode is going to drop some major revelations. I can already tell you that, so keep an eye, be ready for that. But yeah, another home run for Bleach. The score's almost done, but that's where I'm going to end this week's review. I hope you have a good one, and I will talk to you soon.